Good evening and welcome back to AYV on Sunday. This is the first edition in 2024. Today we'll be evaluating 2023's political atmosphere and the hopes for 2024. You can follow us on DSTV channel 399, Radio 101.7 FM, our AYV News Facebook page, and other social media platforms. Send in your thoughts and comments. We'll find time to go through them later on in the program. Here with me, I have a star-studded panel to help unpack the 2-hour discussion. I have Alfonso Bani, who is the Executive Secretary, Human Rights Defenders Network. Alfonso, welcome to AYV on Sunday.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Joining us also is lawyer Rashid Doumbouya, Executive Director of Legal Link, and of course, another human rights campaigner, lawyer Doumbouya. Welcome to AYV on Sunday.
Thanks for having me. I'm grateful.
All right, and finally, from the Strategic Communications Unit, Ministry of Information and Civic Education, Imran Sila is a known voice and name already from the government perspective. Imran, welcome to AYV on Sunday.
Grateful. Good evening.
Now let's move on, and we're going back to the format, keeping the mode of language that the show used to have before we started talking Creole on the show. So we're going back to having the discussions done in English. So we're starting off this way, gentlemen. We are looking at 2023. We're bringing it under a microscopic view, a perspective that would obviously represent government and also from a human rights point of view. Now, so what I'll do is you'd all have 2 minutes to state or give, an overview of what you thought from the work that you do, the sector that you represent, what happened to the country or what happened in the country in 2023 before we get to specifics and start looking at infrastructure, education, CSO participation, education, and so on and so forth. So let me start off with Alfonso from Human Rights Defenders. Let's take your 2023 in 2 minutes.
Anyway, from the human rights perspective, 2023, we may say there has been progressive realization of our rights, freedom, the enjoyment of our rights in the country. But there are also challenges from the political side. There are also economic challenges. So I think to me, 2023, while we have a progressive realization of human rights, but the key challenge in 2023 is political instability and economic degradation.
All right, thank you, Alfonso. I mean, you utilized a little on the 2 minutes, but you made clear your points that you had political instability and economic challenges. Imran, in 2 minutes, I know you're an orator, and that might not be enough, but let's hear what you would say in 2 minutes on behalf of the government of Sierra Leone.
I think we can all probably safely say that 2023 was eventful. Eventful in very many ways. We had the elections. There was 3 days dialogue after, and I think that the sit down by the opposition lasted for months on ending. It took the intervention of our development partners to bring us to the table, and for which there were recommendations, and government remains committed. His Excellency the President remains committed to those recommendations. We had the November 26 coup. So 2023 was very eventful, but I think one word to use to describe the Sierra Leonean people would be resilience. We have shown to be a resilient nation, to be a resilient people throughout, from the months leading up to the elections in June and to post-elections and everything in between. We have shown to be a very resilient people, and I think that's the positive that we take into 2024 with a lot of hopes and aspirations. Government understands exactly the need to address so many issues. We have done quite a lot, I mean, over a period of 5 years, and His Excellency the President feels forever energized and passionate about his policies, plans, and programs for the people of this country, and that's the mandate he was given in 2023. And so we look back at 2023 with a lot of lessons to learn and a lot of things to celebrate. And moving forward into 2024 now, we'll take those on board and hopefully things will turn for the better for every single one of us.
All right, Imran, I'll come back to you. Of course, you are going to get the first bite as far as the questions regarding the specific issues are concerned. Lawyer Rashid Doumbouya, 2023 in perspective.
Yes, it's quite a dramatic irony here, I'll put it that way. Roller coaster. We started with high hopes, and aspirations as a nation, and then we got to June, almighty June, the elections came. Since then, a lot of hullabaloo, political hullabaloo, and uproar, outcry, claims and counterclaims, and the likes between the ruling government and opposition, and it has heralded into the 2024 year, and so many dramatic issues. And in fact, what is outstanding, sensational, is the fact that our nation became a topical, issue around the world for the very first time, and in a unique way. Sierra Leone is being discussed even up to today by international media institutions, and we are almost all the time, in the media, and for very devastating issues, unfortunately. So it's a roller coaster, I will put it, especially from the June elections right on. We had the walkout from governance by the opposition, and then the Central Committee managed to broker a deal, which currently is also being, heavily challenged. And then all of a sudden also we noted the Ateme coup, and then the government's reaction to that, and taking us right on the curfew imposed, and the holidays being affected in terms of enjoyment of fundamental human rights. And then we got to the lifting up of the curfew, just 10 days to the end of the year, and now we are hearing of an indictment of former president. So it has been so dramatic, and I think the nation itself has gone through a lot. And to say we are a resilient people, I would say it's an understatement. We are indeed super resilient.
Isn't that an overused word to describe who we truly are as a people, as Sierra Leoneans? Alfonso, I'll start with you before I get to Imran. We start outlining the issues, list them. Obviously, the headline from 2023 would be the June elections, which obviously, from it, every other issue has emerged. So, aren't we using or have overused the word we are resilient, or the phrase we are a resilient people as Sierra Leoneans? Alfonso.
We have overused it, and we are presenting it in a misleading way. And I'm happy my brother here talking about resilience, and my colleague was still talking about over-resilience. And in this word resilience, that is two major political parties. The Sierra Leone People's Party and the All People's Congress Party are taking people for granted. This issue is what resilience. We are a resilient nation. If you look at the economic situation, look at the political situation, people are forced. It is not. We are not being resilient because you just want to be resilient. You have no alternative. You cannot go to the bush, as what happened on November 26. We don't want to take up arms. People want to express their feelings. So the word resilience, people just accept the situation as it is, but not because they want to be resilient. There is no alternative. That's the essence. So I think
is it a case of people saying, you know what, as we say in a local parlance, I'll just leave what's happening to God, and
exactly.
since he's the ultimate, he can now decide what's going to happen.
Exactly. Let's just live with it. The two political parties. That's where people are living now.
Iman.
Well, I think I have a slightly different view. Resilient means It means the people who have lived through many challenges, most, if not all of which we didn't ask for. So we didn't ask for COVID and the immediate the implications of that. We didn't ask for the Russia-Ukraine crisis. There's now the Gaza-Israel and whatever economic implications that might have. That is something as a nation we didn't ask for. We'd rather have seen a peaceful world where there are no conflicts, where trade and goods are able to move freely in between continents and from one country to the other. But that is sadly enough not the case. And so resilience sums up the spirit of a people. That despite going through those challenges, we remain strong in our faith and in our belief in a country called Sierra Leone. And in the leaders we vote for from time to time, because what happens at every election cycle is an opportunity for Sierra Leoneans to be able to vote, to be able to express their gut feelings about the direction of the country. And quite clearly, we did that in June this year, and quite clearly stating that we would like President Julius Maada Bio to continue for his second and final term as President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, feeling impressed in very many ways about what we achieved in 5 years. I mean, with him providing that leadership, and would like to give him a second opportunity to continue to do his good work. You know, and we have been very forthright as a government, particularly so the President has led by example, stating exactly the way things are, acknowledging and accepting, yes, that there are global challenges which has affected us and continues to affect us, but that we continue to steer the ship very carefully, deliberately, right, and decisively, right, to where we want to get it to. And that is why we see the Big Five now in place, playing out, yeah? On agriculture, food security, on human capital development, on tech, on employment, and the rest. At the end of the day, Sierra Leoneans are hopeful. Looking into 2024, they're hopeful. We feel that.
Imran, I'm going to ask you: do you have a data to justify or to say that Sierra Leoneans are hopeful? I mean, when Western area, for instance, I mean, it's being erratic, epileptic outage in terms of power supply. I mean, how would you, do you have a data to say that Sierra Leoneans are hopeful that it would get better?
So you raised the point, and I'm going to tie it into another point that Rashid raised earlier when he was talking about our ability to enjoy the Christmas holidays. You know, because I have a data produced by the aviation industry, I mean, showing year on year in terms of the passengers that come into Sierra Leone since 2022. So for 2022, it was 111. 2023, it was 120. 2020.
You mean 120,000?
Inbound, yes, 111 in 2022. Inbound, 120 in 2023. Outbound, 121 in 2022. Outbound, 124. So it quite clearly shows, contrary to, well, whatever those insinuations might be, that people were unable to enjoy the holidays simply because of what happened in 26 years. That was, I mean, hanging over.
But Imran, that's no insinuation, Imran. We know, obviously there were events. So the night economy at some point literally stopped because there was the curfew imposed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Events were cancelled.
Yeah, absolutely. But that was as a result of the coup, which we didn't ask for. And coming back to that incident on the 26th of November, the attempted coup, quite clearly we did see on videos soldiers asking people to come out and be part of the exercise. And don't forget that there's a backdrop to that. And that is why I keep saying we're a very resilient people, and we should feel encouraged by that, that adjective that describes us. Because Western area didn't necessarily vote for President Julius Maada Bio, nor the SLPP government, right? And that has been the pattern, right, for successive elections in the past. Right? So for Western area to now say, yes, we did not vote for President Julius Maada Bio overwhelmingly. We did not vote for the SLPP. But this one, they ask you for come on, I do for. No. Not mix really. We're not going to be part of it. That is not what we want as a people. Yeah, we would rather ensure that democracy stays, that we have the opportunity at every given point, right, and that we have the freedoms that we continue to enjoy under a democracy. Death penalty has been taken away. Part 5 criminal libel. Journalists will continue to celebrate forever and will forever continue to remember President Julius Maada Bio, right, for taking that away from the law books. Right, and so, look, we may have had challenges in 2023, quite clearly. Yeah, we can talk about that all day, all night, but then let us also celebrate those good moments, and those good moments determines and shows, at least gives us an indication as to what 2024 is going to look like from the Sierra Leonean people, but then also, right, for government in terms of what our direction and purpose is. All right. President Bio's second and final term.
All right, Iman, those were interjections to just get some questions asked along the line. So we're starting off now, debate proper. Let's start talking about, obviously, like I mentioned, or we've said that 2023 was pivotal in terms of our democratic credentials. Now, we had the presidential and parliamentary elections. Let's start talking about that. The processes leading on to the elections and election day. The electoral management bodies, their participation and contributions to the credibility of the outcomes of the elections, Imran. Now, gentlemen, you have a right to interject if you want when Imran is making his case or making his claim on behalf of government. Now, you can, I'll protect Imran as well, but you can, if you want to, in the event that he is saying things that you are not either agreeing with or satisfied with, or you think you need to make clarifications on. Imran.
So I'm going to spend, I'm being very deliberate here, I'm going to spend very little time on the elections management body and events leading up to the elections in June. And that is simply so because there has been a dialogue for which there are recommendations. The opposition party foremost in the proposals that they put forward during the 3 days dialogue was an electoral systems review. His Excellency the President talked about it. He went to the United Nations and committed himself into an electoral systems review, and which we now have as a result of those recommendations. It's a 3-way leadership. And the composition has been put together. I think there was an inaugural meet, which was done by His Excellency the President, and the work continues. How can we start? And that's precisely the reason why I'm not going to weigh in as much. Simply because I think all the stakeholders, the actors, the political actors, the opposition, government, political parties, now have a real opportunity to sit in that room and have those conversations. Ultimately, if that was not in existence in any way, you and I would probably have as much of a discussion around that topic, right, in the hope that it informs government to be able to take action. But actions have already been taken. There is a process, right, which is ongoing. And I'm sure whatever we say would be inconsequential to those conversations, because you have the...
I mean, but what we are having, Iman, what we are having is a review.
I fully understand your point, but...
Okay, what we are having is a review, and when we're bringing... I want to hold you back on some of the words that you've used on this show. You've used fair, honest, and transparent as far as doing communications on behalf of government is concerned. So credibility is what, obviously. So we're having a review. If we don't bring the things on the table that were the issues during the process leading on to the elections, obviously, I mean, if we're reviewing them, you have to mention some of them. Imran, let's be fair.
So again, I want to be factual, I want to be honest, I want to be credible, but I also want to be circumspect, right, in the process. And look, there's the committee now, which has a job to do. Ultimately, whatever persuasions we hold as to our views on the electoral process leading up to the elections, we can all be in agreement that we want to see an ECSL or an electoral systems process that responds much more, right, and with less criticisms, right, if that's the way to put it. And so the job that they're doing is very important, because for us, civil society, human rights activist or lawyer or politician, whatever you choose to describe my brother as, I would like to see.
Interesting, Rashid. I mean,
would like to see 2028 being
a long list of titles added to what Imran thinks you should be called. There's lawyer, human rights activist, politicians, not being added to it.
He has had many hats over the past, so I don't know which one aptly describes my brother right here. But look, the point is this. Ultimately, we all look forward to 2028 and elections that would be less critical, and the conversations would be different from the ones had in 2023, from the ones in 2012, from the ones in 2007, from the ones in 2002, and clearly from the ones in 1996. And that's the essence of the committee. We hope, right, that they move with focus and determination, right, to change things for the betterment of all of us.
All right, Rashid, over to you.
I think rightly so. Yes, well, it's the opinion of my able brother, Mr. Imran, so I respect his views. And I'm not here today to really throw spanner at anyone, but to talk about critical issues that I believe the people of Sierra Leone deserve to unravel and understand. And then perhaps we provide recommendations that will help push things forward. No doubt, when we talk about the elections in 2023, we are grateful for a peaceful elections. So there is no contest in that light. It was one of the most peaceful elections. But when it came to the issue of the counting and tallying process, and we did a very thorough report on this, which was submitted to ECSL themselves and published to the nation and beyond. So what we discovered as a CSO that monitored the election was the non-transparency of the tallying and counting process, and that was very key in ensuring a free and credible election. So, and all the reports that came, be it sub-regional, regional, and international, all agreed and led credence to the fact that there was a grave, challenge in the area of transparency in the counting and tallying process. So that is why today we are even having an election review. Had it not been the fact that that was a very dire challenge, we will not be having this electoral review today. So that said, there was a missed opportunity, though. I have, and I've said it many times in this forum, that there was a missed opportunity by the opposition to have brought a very strong case in the courts to look at this from that legal angle, because our laws are very clear when elections are marred, with perhaps suspicious, circumstances. So the courts never had that opportunity to weigh in. However, a very brilliant lawyer, a human rights activist, down the line, later on, had to bring a case, all right, to the courts regarding whether, in fact, ECSL can or cannot release, all right, segregated data to any individual who participated in election upon requests. So he alleged, the refusal of ECSL to give him the data as a violation of his constitutional rights. That matter, unfortunately, the Supreme Court decided in its own way to not hear the matter and just throw the matter away. So, to me, and it's not surprising today
So why would you want the APC to take the electoral matter or a case to court? I mean, if an independent lawyer is asking the electoral commissions to provide him or grant him access to the data, why do you think that the opposition APC should take the electoral matter to court?
Yeah, so that is in fact why perhaps we come back to the situation that the opposition we are perhaps correct, because if eventually a case came before this court, though late in the day, and this court could not even see the need to look at it on the merits and answer the question, they decided to find a de minimis argument to throw it out. Because even if somebody files a motion or a summons or whatever it is late, out of time, the court in the interest of justice can extend, can even penalize you with cost and accept your application in the interest of justice and look at that on a merit. So the argument that he came out of time and threw the matter out scared every one of us because that was a public interest issue. And in fact,
yeah, Iman, of course, you can. You can. You can.
Let me just land.
Iman, you can. You can.
It's not something I particularly want to say. To help the conversation,
to finish
as a lawyer, the two options aside as to what the courts can do, what other options are stipulated by law? Can they turn to, right, if something is filed out of time? I'm just asking to guide the conversation so that people understand exactly.
So remember, we are dealing with the highest court in the land, okay, and it's about the Constitution. So the court can be very, I mean, nonsensical in terms of its approach if it wants to, no doubt. But
okay.
in the interest,
can you now throw that into the mix of options?
Let me finish this.
You have put out for the public. That's all I'm asking for.
But in the interest
they can be
of
nonsensical.
the matter being a public interest issue, I believe it was in the best interest of the nation and justice to have had that case on the merits and not throw it out on the minimis grounds.
So my response is this, right? I think the fact that he has chosen those two options as his own considered position shows how subjective he is. That was why I asked the question specifically. What are the options? What are the range of options? So in addition to
Rashid, are you subjective in this case?
Oh, quite clearly.
Yeah, I mean, you can respond. There's nothing stopping you from responding,
quite clearly,
Rashid.
because
Alfonso,
he has given one
can
more, pressed on it specifically. He has now given one more option that the court is allowed to do.
But why would you assume? But why would you? But you have asked Iman. So let me throw in. Hold on. Let me throw in a question. But why would you ask a lawyer to give you an opinion?
No, the range of options available.
And range of options.
Yes.
And he has
not
given
an opinion.
Well, okay, range of options. Let me rephrase.
Yeah.
You have asked the lawyer to give you a range of options
Permitted by law that the courts can use.
So he has given you the range of options. Why would you now come back and say that shows he's subjective? Alfonso, I'll come back to Rashid. Alfonso.
You know, what is missing here? The law does not operate on public opinion. The law operates based on facts and the law. That's it. Nothing else. And so if the Supreme Court decides that because of law, by law, they file a motion out of time, which is prescribed in law, then so be it. But the law is not based on opinion. It is based on the law and the facts. That's the only thing I want to
Iman, let's get Rashid and I'll come to you.
Referring to Mr. Bani gives the Supreme Court or any court the powers to enlarge, out of time, to give, that condition, that environment to come out of time. They could even fine you for that, but still look at your case. All right, it's in the rules again.
Yeah, but but their decision, that decision is not illegal. So if you are not saying they could have, that's based on your own opinion. That's the decision of the judges. That we cannot accept this case. So we don't look at the other part of the rules that they can extend. That's what they have decided. Right. So period. That's legality.
So we as activists,
we are looking at
we as activists,
not as a lawyer again.
All right,
you're not talking as a
human rights lawyers. We have to critique these decisions because it's not in the best interest of our nation. Everybody, I believe, ought to have be desirous to see
what should have been in the best interest of the nation.
As to whether the ECSL can or cannot withhold such data that is public information. So that is the question that everybody should be desirous to have an answer for. And the court decide not to answer it. And we sit here and be happy about it.
No, we are not talking about how you're happy. It is what the law prescribes. You have made it very clear. But the judges also have opportunity by the rules to fine or extend.
Yes.
But they use what is prescribed also in the law that they cannot accept the case. It's legal.
Yes.
So what I'm saying. So don't say.
So what?
Don't say
So
we are saying something or we are happy because of
Mr. Gbani,
we are looking at the facts
Mr.
and
Gbani,
the law.
I expect
and from human rights
as a
perspective.
CSO.
No, I'm coming from the human rights perspective. We don't work on based on opinions. From the human rights perspective, I seated here. I've been in the field of human rights for over 45 years now. I don't look at opinion. I look at the law and the facts, and that's the way we do human rights work. It's not based on opinion.
All right, so Mr. Gbani, nobody's expressing an opinion here. The fact is, there's a provision in the rules that allows the court
There's several
to
provisions.
extend,
Several
right,
provisions.
and allow for late
You stated two.
applications,
I
right?
pressed you on the range of options, and you
The court
added
decided
a
not to
third.
invoke those rules.
Is it
That's
wrong
what
by law?
I didn't say. See, don't put what's
It is not wrong by
All
law.
I'm saying here is every Sierra Leonean ought to have been desirous
So
for that question to be answered.
So Commissioner Rashid, gentlemen.
ECSL.
Hold on. So let me ask Rashid. So you are looking at what would have been done in the best interest of the nation.
Yes. So I'm seated here I'm speaking for the people of Sierra Leone. That's my role. I'm not here to talk for the government. That's his role. What the ordinary Sierra Leonean that voted in that election will have been desirous to see answer is whether in fact ECSL has the powers to release or not release our data upon request. If the Supreme Court decided not to answer it, it's up to them. And now here is the nemesis. Today that Chief Justice is no longer on the seat. So if you are happy, that's how it is. When you are cavalier on things that are of interest to the nation, nemesis will catch on you. And today is out disgraceful.
I think we're mixing things up and getting this conversation convoluted. He's made 2 points, and somehow he can't conceptualize the difference between the two. There's a clear desire by him to ask ECSL to release those data to any individual, and that could be tested through a court of law. But the second part to what he was also trying to say was, it was put to a test, right? Through the proper and appropriate jurisdiction. And because it was not filed in on time, there are a range of options open to the courts, which Bani alluded to. One, you could have a fine and it can be accepted, or time can be, there can be an extension of time to tolerate that filing, or it can be, the court can adopt a posture, quoting him, nonsensical. He did use that particular adjective to describe it, nonsensical. The court chose the third option by him, which is not to say that the judiciary is not tolerant, right, to the idea, right, of testing that particular desire by an individual or individuals, right, for ECSL to release data. Now, what I also think we should also be talking about, or him particularly should be thinking of, what other avenues are there that we could use or be exhausted to see and test ECSL as to how they would respond to such a matter, because that felt. No, I'm coming.
More avenues.
That felt like
this is the highest court. This is the highest court.
When people want to do a job.
So Mr. Abraham.
So Rashid, that means even using.
It doesn't have to be through the court. I'm not talking about through the court. I'm talking about
Rashid and Bani. That means even using. Hold on, Rashid. Hold on. That means even using the freedom of information path.
Yes.
Access to information as requested by institutional.
It doesn't have to be
would not
necessarily through the courts. That's not the question I asked.
Could that have been an option, Bani?
I understand that. But what are the options? What other avenues could be used or utilized?
Gentlemen,
outside the courts.
Gentlemen. Hold on, gentlemen. Rashid and Imran. Let's take Bani. Let's take Bani. So you calm down a little bit.
The gentleman should have used the Freedom of Information Act to access information from the ECSL and asking the Supreme Court to decide on that. It also depends on the timing. So, he did a very good thing, which is also, I would say, it's of interest to the country. But I am not the bench. The bench, the judges look at the merits, what they have. In their own decision, they decided not to accept it. The question we have to ask ourselves, was the decision of the judges illegal? If yes, then we have to cry. But if it was legal, then there's no breach in the law. The other thing, maybe some of us will be crying, is our own intention that we would have loved the judges to use an extension or to fine. That is where the complainant or other people of interest in the area are discussing their own opinion. But if you're looking at the facts and the law, that's the decision of the court.
All right, so again, let me help my colleagues here on the facts. The Supreme Court is the highest court in our land, and is the court that interprets our constitutional rights. The case filed by Augustine Mara, was regarding his constitutional rights. And this is the court that interprets. No other court has powers to interpret the Constitution. So that case was not seized by this court. We will never have an answer on this constitutional issue. To me, nobody is saying here it's an illegality. We're saying, or what I'm saying here is, there was a provision also in their rules.
There was one more provision.
For the judges to use the prescribed law.
If you don't allow me, then
what you are presenting.
Let me finish. When I finish, and then you can talk.
So Rashid, I meant the program is hold on. The program is fully Imran, hold on. The program is fully well controlled. I mentioned that as part of the debate, you are right to interject and ask questions or make points or make clarifications.
When somebody finishes, then you can take.
So
I'm sitting on my legs and there's.
So it's okay. You are protected.
Okay,
let's have you're protected. Let's have some comments.
Let me learn. All right. So what we are saying, and this is the position advocates, CSOs, and activists must stand up, because we speak on behalf of the people of Sierra Leone. We would have loved to see this case dealt with on the merits, because it's a precedent already. So we don't want this thing to continue. This is the danger. All right, when we don't have this answer, some other day, some other government will put somebody again that will do the same thing, and then it continues. So,
we need to.
Our fear is when these things happen, the Supreme Court must take. And this is the very reason why today, as I speak to you now, the Supreme Court of the U.S. have jetted in on the issue of Donald Trump. Many states are getting out of the ballot box. They could have sat down and said it's not their business. They have seized the matter that they have to look at this issue and decide on it, because it will have a dominoes effect. Now, only 3 states have done so, but other states might come into the. So the courts have a role to play when it comes to electionary processes.
If
they keep quiet, it continues and becomes a precedent that will be dangerous for our body politics.
As far as this segment is concerned, we have 5 minutes to round up on this, and then we'll move on to something else. Alfonso, then Ima.
My other comment is on this issue that while I am a human rights activist, and I don't think I started doing human rights work 2 days ago, since 1982. To date, so just calculate the period. What we are saying.
So, but why is that important? Because Rashid is on the panel. You're trying to make Rashid. You're trying to make Rashid feel like he's a kid. No, hold on. You're trying to make Rashid feel like he's a kindergarten human rights activist.
Rashid is in the field of human rights.
So you're saying Rashid is a kindergarten human rights activist?
Kindergarten, but it's
all right. Okay.
Even though he was a commissioner, but we are being in this game.
All right. Okay. All right, Bani. Let's hear you.
I'm not saying. What Rashid have said, and he made it very clear. We will have loved. That is the way how we feel. We are thinking. But the courts decide otherwise. That's what I'm saying. As long as it is within the ambit of the law, that's where we are looking. We are coming from. Where there is a breach in the law, we know that there is a violation. And so that's the essence. That was what I was just presenting. That does not necessarily mean that we do not feel the way other people feel. Other people felt anyway.
All right, Imran, so you then we move on.
So, look, I mean, again, we have to understand that Rashid is an activist. And we have a lot of activism around. You might be human rights, you could be political activist, you can be economic activist and all the rest of it. But the law doesn't respect your activism. It deals with itself. It's about the law. You understand? And what are the range of options? And once those decisions
Iman,
are made. Let me finish.
Iman, no. I want Iman. I want to hold you. I want to hold you to account for that. I mean, you can't be discountenancing the roles. Oh, hold on. You can't be discountenancing the role and responsibilities of these advocates. They're CSOs. That you have to take that back.
So you have to understand.
No, Imran, you can't be discountenancing the roles of advocates. Are you saying the same to Bani? Are you saying the same to Rashid? Please go ahead. Go ahead. You have the right.
You are misunderstanding me.
Go ahead. You have the right. Go ahead.
You are misunderstanding me. You are misunderstanding me.
Yes.
You are misunderstanding me.
Rights of citizens. We have to hold them accountable.
You are misunderstanding me. The law,
So help us understand what you're
the
saying.
1991 Constitution, and all the related laws that have been used in Sierra Leone does not take into consideration activism. It deals with itself. It's about the law. 1991, Section 120, Section 108. It is about its application. It is about its application. In this particular instance that Rashid cited, there are three options. He cited two that he would have preferred.
So Imran, why when hold on? Let me come back to you. So Imran, I want to hold Imran.
It's about its
Imran.
It deals with its application.
Imran.
It deals with its application.
Gentlemen.
The Constitution recognizes the role of human rights of activists.
Three instances, three options have been cited. Three options by Rashid has been. I'm coming. Three options has been cited. He says he's a human rights activist. You are a human rights activist.
Imran, you might be opening. Hold on. Let me make a set.
Imran, to that application that was put
Imran,
before it.
Hold on. Let me make a statement. Imran.
That's the point I'm making.
Hold on, sir.
It does not respect your activism and what you would have preferred. It's about the law and its interpretation and its application. Full stop.
Imran,
that was where it started,
please.
And that was where it ended.
I do not want you to open and or cause an avalanche.
No, you go misunderstand me.
No, we are not. The entire part. Okay, I'm just asking you. I'm just making a statement of caution.
And I cannot take it back.
Bani.
I cannot take it back.
And Rashid.
As it
so
relates
your
to an application,
your advocacy is not respected. That is what Imran is saying on this panel. Gentlemen,
no, I am not saying that.
Not respected.
I am not saying that.
What are you saying then?
We are talking about an application that was put before it, as stated by Rashid, with regards to.
So, but you cannot have a general comment in terms of.
He says.
Don't give them a blanket comment.
No.
As with regards to advocacy and what they do. So
I understand exactly what I'm saying. He says there are two options. I pressed him further. Is there a third option? And he said yes. What is that third option? Despite his activism,
so 5 minutes spent on this.
All right.
5 minutes spent
that into consideration.
5 minutes spent on this already. So you have to
just take that into consideration.
Quick.
In the Constitution, there are provisions regarding the right to freedom of expression, freedom of assembly and association.
Oh, granted. Agreed.
Freedom to form
organizations. Those are universal rights.
Yes. So we as CSOs, as human rights defenders, we have those rights, and we are bound to enjoy them in a democratic society. So for you to demean
no, I am not demeaning. Not put this thing in a way that is not correct.
Let me shock you.
No. Don't put it in a way that is not correct. Don't put it. If you do not understand what I'm saying, Rashid,
I am here. We do shadow reports.
Let's get a conversation. Let's tell you exactly what I mean.
Defenders should not be demeaned.
That is a dangerous place to go. That is a dangerous place to go. You deep in your soul. No, don't tell me which you think I don't do. I am here, Rashid. Not for you to interpret for me. I am here. Why you for 5 minutes suggesting that this at the say? No, not here. They say. I continue to tell you that is not what I mean, Rashid. In all of your activism that you have done.
Do you agree that we are valuable in society?
Look, that is beyond question. I have never questioned it in any form. I am saying, Rashid. I am saying, no, begin to trivialize and begin to call pettiness panistin. Right? We're talking about substance. We're talking about issues, not to individuals as to whether your activism is not being respected and that.
Okay, so Imran,
that is not the case at all.
Imran, if we slow down,
when Rashid,
Imran,
the
gentlemen,
law-
hold on.
Rashid,
Alfonso, Imran, I'm going to ask
all the
you.
issues
Hold
we
on,
have taken to court.
Imran, for now. Hold on. So, yeah, if we go back to all the comments that you've made since you started with every contribution on this particular episode and edition, most of it has been jibes at Rashid or at Bani.
So you think?
No, I am not thinking.
No, so you think?
No, I'm not thinking. And this is a bigger jab. You've used both hands to jab both gentlemen
No, so
in the
you
studio
think.
by
So you
saying
think.
no.
No,
Okay,
no.
Iman. So before you make your next comment, I'll let Alfonso comment, and then you and then Rashid, and then we move on to something
What
else.
is not clear about what I have
hold
said
on.
to
Because
you?
hold on.
Don't be subjective.
We
It's
still
not what you think.
we still
What is
so
not
there
clear?
you go. There you go.
What is not clear?
There you go. Trying to make everyone feel like they are subjective
I'm asking, what is not
for
clear?
challenging your position.
No. Because I know what you are saying.
It's not.
What is not
That's
clear
not what you
about what
should
I
do.
have said?
That's not what you should do.
What
You
is not
don't.
clear?
You don't ask. You don't tell people they're subjective because they're
No.
challenging
What
your
is not
position.
clear?
It's bringing another
I am here.
option
I'm
to
not
what
on
you
the
have said,
silence.
Iman. So let's take you, Rashid, and Bani. Then
I
we'll
am
take
here.
Iman and then we'll take
For me
Rashid.
to lay this into rest, I just wanted my brother to tell us whether, if the Constitution does not recognize human rights defenders, it's just a yes or no.
So again, you keep missing my point
No,
and the
no,
position I'm
not
coming
talking
from.
about what you are saying. I'm just
You
asking
keep missing. Those are two
you said
separate.
the
Those
law
are
does not recognize
what I'm
activism.
saying is completely separate. Is completely separate. So Alfonso Bani, assuming you were to take a matter to court now, as a human rights defender, a human rights activist, when the law is being determined on that particular matter filed before it, does it take into consideration Alfonso Bani, the human rights activist, or does it deal with that subject matter before it as it relates to the law and its application?
It deals with subject matter, including the
As it relates to
including
the application of the
person that
law.
filed the motion.
As it relates to the law. Now,
Including
look,
because that's a citizen.
the only reason
the
why
law
you
has
go
the right
to
to
court,
protect citizens. That is why we have the Constitution.
the only reason why you go to the judiciary and the only reason why you go to the court, whether be it magistrate, high court, supreme court, is for an application of the law, for it to be interpreted.
And to give
Full
you the
stop.
law.
Now they begin and then they end. So why would they make this whole thing
What
so
a way to end the
And people are
what a
feeling
way,
slighted.
what a way to end the segment on,
Why have
on
the
what
judiciary in the first place?
Rashid and
If it's not about the
Rashid,
application
Iman
of
and
the law.
Alfonso, what a way to end the segment on elections in the country. Noting how heated and confrontational it seems. That is a clear end to what happened in the June elections in 2023. Let's move on to something else because there are several issues we need to look at. Right? We need to move on. Yeah, a quick bite and then we move on to something else. Alfonso.
To end the issue on elections, I think, you see, there are lots of opportunities in elections. And the opportunities we have in elections is not only the aspect of voting, but also the issue of security of elections, fairness in the elections, credibility of elections. How do we ensure that politicians, this whole issue of confusion, it is not really with the grassroots people, the grassroots citizens. It is because of the opinion and the interpretation of politicians that we follow. When key politicians say, no, this is not correct, that's what the people follow. So what I want to employ on politicians, be it the APC and the I just want to appeal to all other political parties. I'm not being biased, but I just want to make it very clear that these two major political parties have hold this country to ransom. If it is not SFPP, it is APC. If not APC, it is SFPP. They need to change the dynamics to make sure that the people of this country enjoys elections. Elections is not about war. All of us can be president, but it's going to be chaotic. All of us will be in parliament, but there is no space for us. That is why we are just identifying people to represent us. It is not about war. The politicians should change their tactics. This country will be peaceful when it comes in terms of elections.
Iman, as we end the segment on the elections, and then Rashid.
Well, I mean, I don't think I've got anything further to add. I mean, I'm just hoping that whatever is not being, if you have your own different interpretation, right, as to what I have said, please feel free to ask for the remainder of this conversation. I do not want anybody to interpret me wrongly and begin to suggest I'm casting aspersions or I'm blaming civil society or human rights activists. That's not the case. When we deal with issues specifically as it relates to the things
I'm tempted to ask, what are you doing in this case? I'm tempted to ask, what are you doing in this case? Not casting aspersions, not blaming anyone. What are you doing in this case?
I'm just saying.
You're just ruffling feathers, you're just ruffling feathers, getting CSOs on their toes.
I'm just saying, look, I respect both individuals greatly. I hope you understand. I know how much work Bani has done over the years. Himself has said this over 3 decades now. I know Rashid. I mean, outside AYV, we're friends. I think like for so the Sul Sef, and the Tony Fesianda, and the Tony Fesianda. I hope you understand. So the things we say, this conversation should be very organic and genuine. And if for any reason I do not fully understand what Rashid is trying to say, instead of having my own interpretation of Rashid's own statement, I should be in a position to ask Rashid and say, well, no, this is what we talked of. Now, this you mean for clarifications and clarity purposes, yeah, so that we don't misunderstand ourselves for the remainder of this conversation, like we don't do to me. So that's the point I'm making.
But Iman, nobody's putting words in your mouth. You said what you said.
So I don't explain myself further. I hope the public now understands exactly my position and where I'm coming from. And I still stand by those comments made.
Rashid, as we end the election segment.
So I value this platform always. And when I am called, I take this role with a deep sense of cosmic responsibility and moral rectitude. May I have to talk on general issues today, not to quarrel with any of the panelists. They are good people, and I have respect for them. So the elections, my position is clear. The courts should have seized the opportunity to give us a jurisprudence on this.
Rashid, why are you taking that? I know you can, you will. I mean, you have the platform, but why are you backtracking on a very assertive position that you used to have? I have that feeling,
yes,
from what you have just said, that you're not here to quarrel with anyone. It's a debate. We cannot have someone coming in here playing the good cop.
Yes, so we can debate but not get emotional. The point I'm making is today we are in an uncharted waters and territory. The tripartite committee seems to, by the agreement, have powers to recommend decisions that are actionable. We have a legislation and a constitution that shows how electoral disputes are to be resolved. Our Supreme Court decided not to deal with that issue in that way when the case came before them. So the tripartite committee is now left to do the work that no legislation has created them to do. That's my fear, and that's what I'm echoing. So if you don't get it, understand what I'm saying. I'm not here for playing. I'm here to speak for things that I know will affect our nation down the line. Today, a committee is going to look into electoral issue that no law supports them in doing so. Just a minute agreement. We have a constitution and we have legislation. That's why I said it was a missed opportunity. The Supreme Court ought to have weighed in and make this issue a dead end. Okay, now I believe my colleagues understand where I'm going. So let's see how it will play out when we get to that stage where a no-supported framework by law will make recommendations, and let's see what will be the end game. All right, so I'm speaking in the future. If you have common sense, you understand where I'm going. So our Supreme Court should learn this. When it's a public interest issue, let's don't start taking the restrictive approach, because we need to deal with it, otherwise it come back and haunt us. That question has not been answered. An opportunity came from an ordinary human rights person, not a political person anymore. Because perhaps an APC matter, perhaps they will have said something else. But this is an ordinary citizen asking a question. I'm sure the court will have taken up that matter, no matter the time frame. Give extension, can give a fine, and then look at it on the merits. And then we have a jurisprudence today that we can hang on to say, well, SSL has powers to keep the data, or they don't have powers to keep data. That's a question Rashid Doumbouya wants to have answered in my country. And I have the right to ask that question and demand the court to so do, because it's germane to the political and electioneering process in the future.
Have you filed an application yourself to the court?
I'm sure Rashid is not going to respond to
No,
your
I'm not
question.
going to
Imran. So now let's move on
The one
to
that the final was not hard.
Imran. You mentioned the repeal of the 1965 Draconian Public Order Act, and the space that has now been created. Now to participation of CSO and CSOs and media in governance. Now is the space as free and uncluttered as it was before the repeal of the 1965 Public Order Act? I'm starting with you, Imran.
Look, is the space on free?
No, is the space free and uncluttered?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think, and this is not coming from me. When the repeal happened, for every time I have seen SLAJ and their leadership talk about journalism and the way they go about practicing their trade now, it has been nothing but gratitude for the laws being abolished, for His Excellency the President, retired Brigadier Julius Maada Bio, taking the leadership to do just that. They feel a new sense of possibilities now and a new sense of freedom that never existed before. And back then, it was just hanging, not knowing when it would hit or when it would bite. And that is not the case anymore. So we continue to have a record where people are not being taken to, journalists are not being incarcerated because of the views expressed by them. I hope you understand.
They might not be incarcerated physically, Imran, but new media, social media space is very, very toxic. And it's more like a war zone.
What do you mean by toxic?
It's more like, obviously, as it relates to a war setting.
Well, so that in itself points to a certain sense of freedom now. As toxic as it is, it points to a certain sense of freedom. That anybody, with an anger and an Android phone, can be a journalist now and continue to upload things on social media, WhatsApp, and all the rest of it. Even though, it's not necessarily productive, right? In some of the audios and videos we have seen, that is not what Bani stands for. I'm quite sure that is not what Rashid stands for. We want to be decent in our dealings and the way we go about doing what we do as civil society organizations or as a politician or as a journalist. It's about putting up information that we consider to be factual and relevant at that material point in time, and our own spin on it, obviously, without necessarily disregarding the law and certain ethics, media ethics and all the rest. So, look, broadly, I think there's a certain sense of freedom now. Let us also not forget that several times in the past 5 years, His Excellency the President has brought together civil society organizations, and that culminated into a working group between government and civil society organizations, which was chaired by, and still is being chaired by the Vice President of the Republic. I think they had a couple of meetings, over the past 3-4 years, and they agreed on a template to move forward. I'm sure that is not lost on the office of the Vice President, who has the responsibility to interact with civil society organizations. There is also the budget hearing, which happens on a yearly basis. And civil society organizations are always represented. They express their views and give their inputs during those working sessions. And that's how it should be. It should be a healthy collaboration. There's nothing wrong for civil society to express their views. There's nothing wrong for civil society organizations to criticize government. That is what we live for in a democracy. One more point I would like to add, because sometimes there's always this notion that civil society organizations represent people. Oh, I'm quite sure they do. No two ways about it. Bani has his own constituency that he has been representing for decades now. I can also boast here that I'm the only legitimate voice of the people of this country, for and on behalf of government, sitting here right now amongst the three of us, because we go into elections every 5 years and we get elected into office. So whatever we say and do, it is for and on behalf of the people of this country who has given us a mandate. So there's a certain legitimacy that I feel entitled to. But it's not something that I need to talk about, because at the end of the day, ultimately, we're in the space of development. We all have our different angles, different persuasions, and different views. We can all meet together, at a point. But I don't think anybody should have that sense of ownership more than us politicians, because we're going to elections and legitimately are elected by people to represent them.
Alfonso, you feel is this space now cluttered that you cannot freely express or carry on with your advocacy? I mean, case in point is what Iman has just said, a short while ago. Do you now believe that, based on what is the current prevailing situation, you are able as CSOs to advocate and freely do so?
At least I will give a further account of Imran, at least and the government, for just addressing an iota of the Public Order Act of 1965, which is the seditious libel, this thing that deals with
media generally.
That's just one minute part of it that deals with specifically a specific group of human rights defenders, the journalists, writing about people whatsoever. But if you look at part 3 of the Public Order Act of 1965 that deals with possession or whatsoever, we still have a problem. The issue of association, the issue of peaceful demonstration, it's a challenge. I have never had in this country successive police officers, if they have presented to us a data suggesting that we gave permission to a particular group to demonstrate, and this is the challenges we have had. Many times when you go, you write to the police, even notifying them, because they are claiming that we are writing for getting clearance. It's just notification. There is no part in the Public Order Act that suggests that we are seeking for clearance from the police. We are notifying them so that they can give us, we show them the routes we are going to use to do our procession or demonstration, so that they can control vehicular traffic and pedestrians, so that my rights to demonstrate should not affect the rights of other citizens to move around. And so we respect each other. But we've never seen that data. If we are going out tomorrow, we send out a circular that we are going to demonstrate, and the demonstration is that Mada Bio has done well for the airport. No police will tell us that it's an issue of security. If we send out a circular that by the 15th of January 2024, we are going to mount a campaign on the right to respectable living that is now touching every soul in this country, the economic situation. The police will tell us that no, in the interest of security, it is not, because it is not in favor of the government. You will only go out to demonstrate or to exercise your freedom of association and assembly if you are doing something that is in favor or in conformity with the powers that be. And so, in as much we appreciate the government, and I think this is a test case for the SLPP-led government, because the Public Order Act was introduced by the SLPP. The late Albert Magai, I wanted to control. So it should be, again, kudos to them if they do a complete review of the entire Public Order Act. I did not go to the police. I did not write to the police to ask them for permission or notify them that I'm going to register, I'm going to vote. Why, if I've voted for a government, I want to exercise my freedom of assembly and demonstrate, or peaceful assembly, I should inform the police that I should tell them that give me right to demonstrate on the government that I've voted for. That is not correct. It's an irony. So what we want the government to continue to do, let them do a complete review of the entire Public Order Act so that we all enjoy it. That is our civic liberty. And you should have the right tomorrow morning to just wake up in the morning, gather 2 or 10, 20, 50 or 50 people. We go out there to say, Mr. President, we are not satisfied with this. We don't need. We have to go there. But the problem is, again, we have also allowed, as civil society, we have also allowed politicians to hijack the space on freedom of association. And I will explain that in due course as we progress.
Rashid, before we come back to Iman.
Yes, so on the issue of the civil society space, my analysis will describe the situation as mixed. So for example, like my colleague rightly alluded, efforts have been made by the state to make some reforms in terms of the law. We noted clearly the appeal of Public Order Act and the strengthening of the IMC institution in terms of journalists and how we prosecute them. Now, challenge, however, still persists. For example, we noted that the government passed a new law, the Cybersecurity and Crime Act. Okay, that law today It's been used in many circumstances to suppress, dissenting voices, particularly those that are done within the social media angle. There is no law at the moment that protects human rights defenders in the country. So what we are doing is so risky. We don't have a law that protects us. We've also seen evidence of a few activists also being, in a way, brought before the courts and before the law. Some even went to prison, by virtue of their advocacy on issues. The Edmund Aboud situation, the Thomas More contest situation, these are all examples. So, yes, to have the Part 5 repeal is a kudos, but we have to go much more to create the space. Because you see, I've always made this argument, if we don't allow the space internally to grow and fester, external voices will become much more relevant, and they will be dangerous because the state may not have control over them. So let's be bold and be daring. Let's be smart. Let's allow dissenting voices, all right, to grow. It's part of the democracy. Ours is a democracy. We are not a totalitarian form of government. Democracy protects, and one of the tenets is freedom of expression, all right, and the press. We have to be seen to be cultivating that. That said, I also have problem with ourselves as well as CSOs. So there is the issue of government, there is the issue of our very self. I've never seen.
What's the problem with your very selves as CSO?
Has been a challenge, and I've said it. I've said it's my five years, and Ban is right to say I'm small in this game. All right, 5 years of civil society activism. I've never seen a divided constituency as a civil society organization. All right, so, and that's one also challenge that is making it easier for the government to have a free day. But when we CSO stand on national issues, we don't need to be, there's no politics on these issues. These are national issues. We stand with the people of Sierra Leone, the economy, issues around elections. It's not politics, because we want to see the country. There are many countries that are going to war based on electoral-related disputes. We don't want that to happen in our nation. So division, not working in silos. I've seen a lot happening in our society space, and that in itself is demeaning to the very goals and aspirations that CSOs ought to, yearn for in our society.
Imran, I know you have a lot to say, obviously, because most of what has been said by Alfonso and Rashid seem to be, indicting the current government and the security sector, bearing in mind that freedom of expression or participation in the democratic space seems to be under threat. Imran.
So, look, I think there's a certain commonality here in terms of what we have all said, and we probably are in agreement with as to the way forward. Would we like to see further discussions on the other portions of the Part 5 criminal library, not just that portion that has been taken off, which has to do specifically with members of the Fourth Estate? Oh, absolutely. But then, again, if there's any guarantee I can give here, is the fact that now SLPP government no more go with the incident. Full stop. This man, my brother worked as Human Rights Commission. Ask him how many times, what did they do to do this Part 5? It only took an SLPP government, it took a President Julius Maada Bio, right, to get that off the law books in this country.
But it is the SLPP that introduced.
Oh, absolutely. That was in the days before one party mode.
SLPP was in power. No,
that was in the days.
We are advocating for the Public Order Act of 1965.
And I'm going to say this. I'll literally forgive Pakaba for anything he will be criticized for, and I'll tell you the reason why. He came into office in 1996 in the middle of a 10 or 11 year civil conflict. He had a responsibility to end the war. He did that. There were so many pressing issues at that material point in time. I saw it unfolding in my own very eyes John Yubi Tembeton at the time.
Yeah.
I hope you understand. We saw it unfolding before our very eyes. And so I'm tempted to forgive Pakaba for whatever he may or may not have done.
I'm talking
The
about
point,
SLPP government.
that was an SLPP-led government. That was an SLPP-led government. That was an SLPP-led
That's what I'm
government.
saying.
But the assurance I'm going to give, right? Bani was at the my brother was at the Human Rights Commission. How long did he spend there? What happened to the Part 5 criminal library? Nothing. What happened to death penalty? Nothing. It took an SLPP government in peacetime to deal with those issues. And I can bet my bottom dollar it will take another SLPP government again to have further discussions on these issues that make them germane and relevant to the development and the national progress of this nation. And the second point I'd like to make is
What
this.
about in this current government? Is there any opportunity that we can discuss but the public order act itself? Not, let's not say another government, but this current government also, and this will continue.
So when I say it is going to take another SLPP government, I mean
This current government.
including this government.
All right,
it is going to take another SLPP government.
Okay.
This is an SLPP government led by President Julius Maada Bio. He has done the right thing that no other head of state has done since the inception of this state called Sierra Leone, to get rid of the Part 5 criminal libel, but then to also abolish the death penalty. That is something we feel satisfied about. Right? And will forever remember President Julius Maada Bio for getting rid of these two draconian laws. It is going to take another SLPP government again to have further conversations around these issues, right, that we feel is necessary, right, that we need to continue to have these conversations and to deal with them. Don't rely on any APC to get that done for you. It will never happen. Not in our lifetime, certainly not in the next lifetime of any individual.
All right, Rashid.
Yes, so again, we should focus on the issues that we're discussing and avoid the personality, references. In my small time, in my small, hold on. In my small time,
oh, you did?
In my small time,
okay.
I
was going to
about
take
12
that
months spent at the Human Rights Commission. We did our best, and we ought to have gotten 5 years. We only spent 14 months, and the records are there. Our role is not to change laws or amend laws. It's Parliament that does that function. We can make a case for reforms, which we do, but Parliament makes laws.
Carefully tiptoeing.
Now, so what I'm saying is, my colleagues seem to not be staying on the issues, and perhaps he's finding a fine way to just attack. But that is not what I'm here for, and I will never do that to him. I'm here to talk about national issues. We have a law currently has been passed by the government, the Cyber Security and Crime Act. It's a brilliant law. It was meant to regulate, in a healthy way.
The new media space.
Yes, the new media, environment. But today, we have seen many issues being, and activists and even, ordinary Sierra Leoneans being roped, for merely expressing their views regarding, the social media. So what we're saying here is, we have to not replicate the Part 5, which we have repealed, in this new law. We have to ensure that we give that space. When we create a healthy environment internally, I've argued, we suppress external dangerous voices from having any impact in our nation. That's the quick and smartest way we can dissipate them. Let's encourage many. If people want to protest peacefully, the police should be seen, and I agree with Bani in that analysis. The Public Order Act does not actually empowers the police to stop peaceful protest. It requires people who want to do so to notify the government. So it is them who should now respond. And there are many cases on this. When they respond, it is to help enhance the enjoyment of the rights, not to undermine or limit the exercise of the rights. Because that's what has been the case, and it's true for both governments, APC and SLPP. What we are discussing here is national issues. Let's stay on the issues, and let's ask for reform on these laws that will help to engender dynamism in our civil society space and make our country unique in the world environment.
Iman, how many demonstrations, or let's call them protests, can you give us a data? Do you have a statistics on how many have been requested or possibly approved by the I mean, one was Edmond Abu. He tried doing it, but the gentleman was arrested, and he's since stopped, not even tried doing it again.
So I mean, of course but I'd just like to to remake that point that I don't hold any beef for the police. The police will be able to give you that data in terms of how many permissions they've given over time and how many they have refused. But if you're asking me for that specific information, I can only revert back. I mean, at the appropriate time, I'll check with them.
But again, like the gentlemen have said, by not letting these demonstrations or protests happen, don't you think that it is giving a picture as if to say the space that is created for freedom of expression is now being reduced and constricted to a point where you cannot have that right to express yourself as a Sierra Leonean?
I don't think so. What I would, however, acknowledge is the fact that in a democracy, any conversation is necessarily useful and needful, right? And so within that context and within those parameters, I think those are necessary, useful, and frank conversations to have. Ultimately, the police have a responsibility, and it comes down to their assessment of the situation and requests being made from time to time. And it is based on those considerations. So, I mean, it speaks again to the broader point, yeah, in a sense. So, Bani goes in with, as a human rights activist, or my brother Rashid, as a human rights defender, I want to make an application for something. And in the mind of the police, they are trained in such a way that they do not have any consideration about the activism of you, right, or the human rights nature of you. For them, their consideration, it's about the law and their assessment and their interpretation of what is before them. They have to make a decision on. And they make those decisions. Now, it is not every decision that the courts make that we all feel enthused about in life. Not even in a family setting. It's not every decision you make as a parent, you begin at the glad with you. Right? Past any life for you now. Right? That they want a candy and you decide to say, no, drink a bottle of water, that is more healthy for you than the candy you want to have now. Then begin another gladdy. I mean, but on a more serious note, fundamentally, right, those decisions are made and are taken. We have lived by them for the longest time. In a democracy, your position and the point you're putting forward, is it necessary and useful to have in a democracy? Absolutely. And I can say the same for Rashid, right? I'll bring back those data for you. I'll send them to you. I'll contact the police and revert back to you at some other point. But look, nobody is going to say that this space feels restricted because this is the only government. It has taken President Julius Maada Bio since the inception of multi-party politics in 1996 to get rid of 2 draconian laws and still continues to look for ways and means, right, to improve.
Alfonso Yobai, before I come back to Yobai, before I come back to Iman regarding the new media space, Alfonso.
You know, the thing has become a pattern. Successive governments, the APC government, the SFPB government. And, you know, while I will also be playing the devil's advocate. You see, we understand the police are playing. That's why sometimes we keep saying, in Sierra Leone, we don't have democratic policing. We have regime policing. Democratic policing, these are police that work with the citizens, protect the citizens and protect the states, give everybody the space to enjoy. Regime police, this particular police right now, we should not be calling them Sierra Leone police, we should be calling them SLPP police. When APC is in power, we say APC police. Because and when you look at Lion Lawrence Lima, when they were in opposition, if you listen to the adjectives they have been given to the Sierra Leone police, and when APC was in power, they tell you the good lookings, the good tidings, everything about the Sierra Leone police. When they are in opposition, this same institution that they were controversial is good, they say it is bad. That tells you that we don't have democratic police, it is regime policing. So police need to change the dynamics because they are serving the people of this country and they are using taxpayers' money to pay them. And so when you look at the pattern of peaceful assembly, that police, systematically and calculatedly decided to refuse or to allow people to enjoy their civic liberty. It is because the police see themselves being attached to the powers that be to the government. The chairman of the police council is the vice president. And the internal affairs minister is the vice chair. And you have the ID. So all of them are up there. So how can you look at police conduct in the issue of public order management or when people want to demonstrate? So they will be biased and supportive of the government. But why are they doing so? It is because For every government, they believe, and we have created that opportunity for them, that they believe for any legitimate demonstration, it is not civil society, it is
The
being
opposition.
led by opposition. So it is that thinking that the government, successive government are having, that they are denying us that have legitimate ways to demonstrate ourselves, to express our views, that they are still Muslim because they thought it's still is being controlled or managed by the opposition. And I will give you a case like, I think you remember the Black Monday,
Yeah.
the issue, this market women. They wanted to demonstrate, they said Black Monday. And who was coordinating the Black Monday was Dr. Femi Claudius-Cole. She is a politician. How can you coordinate a demonstration being organized and led by civil society, Market Women Association? So if I'm a government official, automatically I will not allow you because you have a politician that is coordinating that. So this is where we are, as Rashid was saying, that we have allowed ourselves. That calling us instead of civil society,
so again,
evil society.
So again, I mean, this would lead to the question of utilization of the new media, Alfonso and Rashid. Now, you might be denied the right to assemble physically, to bring people sharing your same views or opinions under one canopy to have a demonstration. But there could be the effective utilization of new media. It could go on social, on WhatsApp, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. You would be able to utilize that platform. In fact, you would have more reach, as with the messaging that don't you think it's about time you start thinking about modifying the approach that you as CSOs take towards hosting or expressing views via protests that could be done not in person but virtually?
So you make it a very good point. But don't forget that the Cyber Security and Crime Act has jurisdiction to what you do and say in social media space. That's exactly what the object of that law is.
So that was why I initially asked the question.
Yes. So
is the space open and uncluttered? Yes. That was why I asked that question initially. So you're getting back to answering that question.
Powers to even go as far as what you posted on social media and your computer and your phone. They have powers to even go to as far as searching all of these things and then using that as evidence against you in the court of law. And now it's so easy. Your phone, your records in your phone and everything can be admissible. They can be tendered in court. All right. So, but let me perhaps also come internally and make some confessions regarding also this my small time, as Bani puts it, in the civil society space. So many people are asking, all right, I don't know if some people are praying, but some people are asking, okay, why is this government, as you know, sometimes very tough as I am in many issues in terms of my presentations and my stance, have not gone after me or invited me or this. So here is what I have learned in this small time I have dealt with civil society space. We should come here as genuine people. Yes. We are not politicians. The day I want to go to politics, I will resign and make it clear and I go to politics. So, and then we should not come here to just be talking like politicians and be bashing the government as if they've not done anything. So my position has always been, I will look for what is good that you have done. And I will look for what is not, what you've not done, your omissions, and then I will make recommendations. And I will say so with candor and respect. You see, Mr. Imamia has pushed me, all right, to a very large, but I will not react to be abusive or disrespectful. No, that's not my CSO. No matter what he did, that will not push me to disrespect. No, I have respect for him because he's here representing. So when he gets back and look at this session, he will know that I'm here for a difference, not to insult. When CSO start insulting the government, when they start being abusive, they've gone out of their span. And the government has every reason to be very tough on them. We don't be like politicians. We should contribute. We come here, we criticize. We're not cynics. We are critical, but not cynical. If the government is doing it right, we must be bold to call and applaud them. And where they're not doing it right, we must name and openly condemn them and then provide recommendations. So they now know we are contributing to the space and not serving as agents for political aggrandizement and, you know, mischiefs. That's the thing CSO must learn. Under APC era and SLP era, we must not be politicians. We come here with good faith to speak to them with respect and candor. And when they go home, I'm sure they will listen and learn from what we are saying.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Well, it's about time we go over to socials for what you know, our viewers have been saying. And immediately after that, we'll come back to the issues that are lined up. And we're going back to security issues, November 26. And I have what is called the EBK factor and the ECOWAS factor. We'll come to that. But first, let's take some of the comments that we have on our socials. And for that, I'd like to welcome Salifu Cherno Kamara, who is my producer, but also taking care of the text messages and comments. Happy New Year to you, first of all, Salifu, and welcome back.
All right, Happy New Year, John Conte, and Happy New Year to all the viewers and also our guests for our first guest for 2024. And the first message I will take here today is from Sori Dafe, and he says, "Coup is not about politics. Whoever is behind it should be held accountable." And Abubakar Rashid is saying, "What can be done? The truth is that this government is full of a drama and scapegoating, which is taking this nation nowhere but taking us backwards." And Michael Hindove Lagao Morovia Jr. is saying, "With all the 3 days dialogue with the opposition, it seems they are not ready to work with the government because the bulk of those who were arrested in the recent attempted coup are connected to the opposition." And Abubakar Rashid, "Do you realize that the dialogue started well with the first and second resolutions? All of a sudden, the others were not accomplished by the government and they walked away. Security breach became a coup and the government targeted the opposition and the drama goes on and on." Abyss Kams, where is the Big Five taking place right now? As you speak in Imran, a bag of rice still around 700,000 leones, dollars rate still high, and currently there is a lot of blackout in the country. Where is the Big Five taking place? Please be specific, Mr. Imran. Just agree that currently there is a lot of suffering, but we are trying to fix some of the internal issues." And Abubakar Rashid is saying, I think this is a message again to Imran. Imran, electricity, internet, cost of living are difficult for people. They have nothing to do. Can you refer to that as resilience? And Sparko P, have SLPP asked themselves what next will happen considering the arms that were taken? It's really a concern. 2028 aren't going to be easy. And Abyss Kams, currently in Sierra Leone, there are a lot of internal issues that needs to be addressed before things get escalated. Civil society, government, opposition, journalists, religious leaders and chiefs, all the experts, they should be honest to themselves to help the ordinary citizens to live in a safe environment. The people already agreed with the current suffering situation, but they need peaceful atmosphere in their current or their communities. But currently, the country is really fragile. It's worrisome. And Swissman is saying, I think governments need to set up a special commission to investigate the reason why these guys decided to take over the country on 26 November. Maybe there must be a reason for these people to change their mind to overthrow the government of Sierra Leone. Sometimes they might decide to take over country due to the political malpractices and dissatisfaction of the 2023 election, and also the cost of living in the country. Moreover, when governments had decided to increase taxes in every communities at the time when the ordinary people of police officers with 4 children are receiving less than 5 million leones as their basic salary, or maybe these people have decided to take over the country because of political hate and freedom of speech in the country, not only to investigate them and detain them at the maximum prison for the crime they have committed. As we know, in quote, everything can happen for a reason, and we need to know the reason before ECOWAS withdraw our former president from Sierra Leone magnificently. And Abubakar Rashid, honestly, the judiciary is a bundle of problems. They have allowed the powers that be to usurp their functions. So sad for this nation. And us friend Kamara, monocephalous executive powers has been one of the underlying factors affecting national cohesion and national development. A considerable review of that section in the rule book will be of good in parliamentary procedures. This can reduce the athleticism of political debates. The only thing the citizens have to pronounce a testimony of resilience. However, when material resistance of human behavior becomes unending, there is greater chance of unrest. And Swissman, if the United Nations gives the right to people to ask for a political asylum in any country of their choice, and if the government of Sierra Leone can give the opportunity to the former president to ask for asylum in Nigeria, I think the government of Sierra Leone should also give the opportunity to those who are in prison to leave the country and ask for asylum in any country of their choice, because according to the laws of Sierra Leone, there is no one above the law. But if the former president chooses to escape the law due to the Geneva Convention, I think those who are in prison should also be given the same opportunity like the former president to leave the country according to the United Nations protection for people with political catastrophe. And Ronald Brestford, no one dares to even put a request to peaceful protest because the government has clamped down any form of peaceful process since the August 10 incident. Is the government afraid of one of the fundamental rights of citizens? Abiz Kams, in Sierra Leone, the people don't have right to protest against the government of the day, which really terrible for the people. They can't express their views. Abubakar Rashid, the Public Order Act has been replaced by the most draconian cyber law, which I think is worse than the Public Order Act. Cyberbullying is the order of the day. And Arnold Siemens is saying it's the job of the opposite APC to hold the government to account peacefully and honestly. Let the citizens get on with their good work. We love our government, APC or SLPP. Stephen Yali is saying, this man been there in that office for 11 years. No change, not change any law, but he is demanding for those laws to be changed. And Ronald Brestford, it is ironic that you praise the government getting rid of the libel laws but refuse them the right to peaceful protest. Isn't that weird? And Arnold Siemens also, I think in response to what Brestford said, say, it's about timing. As you know, others have tried violently, and this is not the right time. Stability comes first. And that was the last message, and back to you, John Conte, in the studio.
Thank you very much, Salifu, for getting us the comments from our Facebook viewers. Now, going forward, we would be introducing a WhatsApp number as well, so you'll be able to reach us on WhatsApp and several other channels, because we know we have viewers on DSTV, but they, of course, are unable to comment as far as the show is concerned. So what we'll do going forward, starting next Sunday, we'll have a WhatsApp number where you'll be able to send in your comments, and to all our viewers on DSTV across the region, thank you very much for joining us as well. We hope you will continue to watch and share us your feedback if you can with regards to AYV on Sunday. Let's move on, gentlemen. Comments, I mean, loads of them, Iman, and most of them were directly at you, but let's start with Rashid. I think someone assumes that you were You served as a human rights commissioner for 11 years and said you didn't make any change, but you made a clarification. But re-echo that so that texter or viewer would understand that you served only for a few months. Rashid.
Yes, so I don't really like talking about that, but it's okay. The office of the commissioners, human rights commissioners, is for 5 years and can be renewed, subject to the concession of the president for another 5 years. So in our case, we only served for 14 months and we were removed. So it's not even up to 2 years. Now, but the point I'm making is, what we've had from the texters clearly shows the state of affairs. It is not that all is bad, but there is need for improvement in many respects. So the economy is one, it's hard hit, many people are talking about it, and I'm sure the representative from the government here also agrees and alluded to it in his earlier discussion. What can we do to make good this bad situation? That's what we should be talking about and the government should be focusing on. Not necessarily bashing at people who are raising it up and perhaps looking at them with bad eyes. Secondly, it is very clear that the law on the Cyber Security Act was passed in good faith to help to, at the very least, create that, regulate that space and ensure that they track down, for example, money laundering activities that happen also through cyberspace. But today we are seeing that law slowly replacing like the Public Order Act. And that's concerning because we have passed that stage now. We want to see a situation where the country evolves in terms of, expressions, peaceful protests. The police can embed itself even in those moments and ensure that even rival parties enjoy their right to peaceful protest on the same day. It has happened in Liberia. Heavens did not come down. Two opposing factions were given permit to express their peaceful protest on the same day, and the police embedded itself among them. And even were sharing water and all of things to the thirsty crowd. That's what we want to see, democratic policing. He mentioned about that. Democratic policing means you take on board the democratic rights of the people in a democracy. All right? So these are the things. When we are calling on these issues, we're not doing it in bad faith. We're doing it in good faith for the betterment of our nation.
All right, Imran, loads of comments. Please summarize your response to them, and then we'll come back and take two quick issues before we round up.
I mean, I hope you're not going to misunderstand me again. I was going to, if I had had the opportunity to speak first, I was going to say to Rashid, don't talk about Human Rights Commission again. We've talked about it enough. That's done now. Let's talk about something else. Let people don't misunderstand this thing. These conversations have to be on the issues, and they should be very organic, right? And yeah, but then coming back to some of the issues raised, Mr. Conte, I was with the Minister of Energy, Alhaji Kanja Sise, about a couple of weeks back, and then as at that time there was a notice out which indicated that I think 1 and 3 were functional, but that machine number 2 had some problems. I think someone, whether mistakenly or otherwise, tampered with it, and it became faulty, and that sort of affected electricity distribution in Western area. Now, I know on that day that I went to see Alhaji Kanja Sise, the Minister of Energy, he had actually gone to King Tom to see it firsthand and make sure it's been repaired and all the rest of it. But then, because of the wastage of oil, that oil has to be procured and brought to Sierra Leone. It's not ordinarily, it's not something you can find within this jurisdiction, and that is going to take a bit of time. That is why we see the rationing. But otherwise, we know that before that.
You call that rationing?
Oh yes, yes. But that's what I would call it. It has affected me also in my area where I live. And
but again, do you call that rationing. It's not available at all.
But what's the word? What's the word that they use? I call it rationing, meaning they talk about electricity.
It's called load shedding.
Load shedding, exactly. That's the word. That's what I mean by rationing.
But is it? But again, even if it's load shedding, is it available?
Oh, look, it is not as frequent as we had it before the incident. I have to be honest, because I'm also on the receiving end of it, because I live in a community that
but not for a government that has prided itself in the amount of megawatts.
Interestingly enough, Rashid, I don't have a generator.
Imran, leave Rashid, talk to me. It's not for a government that has prided itself in the generation or increase in the generation of power, megawatts capacity since they took over in 2018. You cannot be that erratic. So and not even available.
This incident hasn't actually changed the facts in terms of what we have talked about when it comes to energy access and energy distribution across the country, right? We're talking about an incident that occurred at the Kingdom Powerhouse some 2 weeks back. That problem has been fixed. The minister himself was there. Those photos were all over social media. I was able to validate that myself because I went to see him on that day, and he had left the house. He was actually at Kingdom, so I had to wait for him. He came back. I had a conversation with him around what was happening at Kingdom. So do we have
a time frame? Is there a stipulated?
So I'll get back to the comms team, NEPA and others, and get back to you on that. I know that as we speak, the oil has been procured, and that oil is on its way. Once it gets here, I'm sure we'll see a vast improvement of electricity supply and distribution for Western area particularly.
We might not have time to respond to hold on.
Now,
Imran, let's take Bani quickly. We might not have time to get into all of these issues. I only wish I can get my producer.
I'm only stating exactly what I know firsthand.
I only wish I can get my producer to bring you guys again next for another episode of this particular subject that we're handling. So we'll be able to talk about the November 26th, the EBK factor and the ECOWAS factor. But let's get Bani quickly.
Talk on this issue of electricity. Talk briefly, and you see, it's really a shame for us as a nation. These two governments, the APC and the SFPP, it's a shame. This year will make us 63 years. April 27. Come April 27, this country will be 63 years of independence. We cannot boast, except probably some type of McKinney in some areas that they are using 24 hours lights in all district headquarter towns. 63 years of independence, of self-control, self-governance. It's a shame. I don't want to keep discuss. That's why I was saying this issue of the word resilience. You know, we have resorted to faith. That is what is happening in this country. No, ESA can just give lights and take it. Whether your appliance is damaged or whatsoever, nobody takes ESA to court. ESA don't care. So people have resorted to faith. And that's the essence. That's the issue why they're resilience. It's a shame and it's a disgrace. Let me if you look at Ghana started the Akosombo Dam a few years before the Bumbuna Hydro. They are enjoying Akosombo up to date. We are not. I don't know what is going on with us as a country with the Bumbuna Hydro dam. You know, it's a shame. Our politicians need to change their tactics. They need to talk to the people. When you have electricity, energy, you also help. It is not about creating jobs. People will create jobs for themselves when there is energy. Yeah. When there is energy, people create jobs for themselves. We don't have generational thinkers in our governance system. We don't have generational thinkers. People that think ahead, 20 or 40 years ahead. They are thinking for today and tomorrow. No, that is not governance. We need generational thinkers, policies that will address even generations yet unborn. That is the way we should see our country. And that is the way we should see our leadership. But these two political parties have taken us for granted in this country, and we are not just going. So it's not the issue of resilience. We are now resorted to our fate, and so they will just take it like that.
Iman, it's not an issue of. It's not a matter of resilience. But anyway, before you get a bite, let me get Rashid quickly now. So let's end with the comments as far as the text or messages that were sent in by our viewers are concerned. November 26th. It was a climax to a very turbulent 2023. With all the things we endured, with all the issues that we faced, then November 26, which literally brought the nation to a halt. because things after the 26th, a lot of things didn't move. A lot of things didn't happen, and a lot of backtracking, retrogression, as far as businesses are concerned, happened. Iman, that was the climax to our year 2023.
Well, I mean, again,
let me take Iman and then you, Rashid.
we know now, it is public knowledge that there was an attempted coup on the 26th of November, and we know that the ringleaders, most of them are with the police now, right, continuing to help with the investigations, some of whom have already been charged with offenses, allegedly, of treason, misprision of treason, and counts of harboring and all the rest of it. And we wait to see the process unfolding. I think this is a matter of law and order. His Excellency the President has been very clear, quite clear, that he would stop at nothing in making sure that those who are responsible for the attempted coup on the 26th of November, that they will be brought to book and they would face the full force of the law. Right? It is about the law. We have made sure we have been very transparent in our dealings so far. Those who have been picked up, an initial curfew was instituted, relaxed from time to time, and then eventually eliminated. And the purpose of that, those curfew restrictions was to enable and enhance the security sector to get hold of individuals who had either left the Pademba Road prison or who were directly responsible for the coup on the 26th of November. And that also, now we know, now includes the former president, Ernest Bai Koroma, who was invited to help and assist the police with their investigations. And we have seen formally him being charged with treason, misprision of treason, and 4 counts of harboring. At the Magistrate Court number 2, it is what you would call, I'm certain between a law student and a lawyer. So I have to be guarded in what I say as it relates to the law. Otherwise, otherwise there is this, you know, the lawyers have what you call mischief makers. Yeah? They're in the habit of making mischief now and just interpret me wrongly. So I'm going to be guarded now quite clearly.
Iman, you have really been throwing jabs today.
Let me get to the point.
You have been very cunning in the way you've thrown your jabs today. You've been doing them, you know.
Section 108 of the Criminal Procedure Act of 1965. This is what you call preliminary investigation that is being conducted by the Magistrate Court number 2 to determine the evidence before it for the former President Ernest Bai Koroma. And once that is completed and done, pursuant to Section 121, it's called Super Courts, they will consider whether the evidence is sufficient enough for the former president to be sent to High Court for a proper trial. At this stage, he does not have to plead anything.
So there's the ECOWAS factor in the mix now, Iman. So I mentioned there are 2 factors. I'm leading on to the 28th. So there's the EBK factor, there's the ECOWAS factor. So we had the ECOWAS coming in. We have only 8 minutes to go. So be quick with that, and then I'll take Rashid.
I'm going to try to do that in 1 minute. We have prided ourselves in being accurate, factual, authentic, and timely in terms of the dissemination of government information and news through the Ministry of Information and Civic Education. For all the times we have been very accurate and we have put out a public notice. So we know that when President Macky Sall and the Ghanaian president came, whatever emanated from those conversations, we made public through a public notice. And that is the position we still hold. Sierra Leone is a signatory to ECOWAS, to the African Union, to MRU and United Nations and many others. And there's so many discussions happening from time to time. If there's anything that we have to add in addition to that public notice that was put out when President Macky Sall and the President of Ghana came, I'm sure we'll do that. At this moment in time, there's nothing new to add, right, to that press release that came out about 2 weeks ago.
So contrary to even the release that was apparently allegedly issued by ECOWAS.
Well, you see ECOWAS. I do not work for ECOWAS. I cannot verify or
but haven't you seen it?
What came out from ECOWAS.
But haven't you seen that release?
I should be the trusted source of news. I cannot rely on what...
But haven't you seen that release?
If you go to the ECOWAS official website, you probably might
Mr.
not.
Sila, Iman, Haven't you seen?
I do not work for ECOWAS.
No, but haven't you seen?
I have not seen anything from ECOWAS. What I know,
I can show you.
what I know for a fact,
I can
and
show
this
you.
is what we would like the public
If
to
you haven't
also,
seen it, I can show you.
this is what we would like the public to also understand, Mr. Conte.
Okay.
Right, that President Macky Sall and the President of Ghana came to Freetown, right? Those conversations, we put out a public notice, right, which went out stating that the government, His Excellency the President, had received those two heads of state, right, in relation to X, Y, and Z, and that was put out. If there's any new information to give to the public, let the public be rest assured today and forever that Chenoba as minister, Keketoma as deputy minister, and the Ministry of Information and Civic Education would definitely put out that public notice.
All right, we've only
at
got 5 minutes to go. Rashid, your bite quickly, and then
Yes,
Bani,
so
you know,
about the November 26 failed attempted coup, we have issued out a press release on this. We've condemned such, and we know it has reversed our body politic in many respects. But we are happy the rule of law is prevailing. Now the police has made some effort to press charges. The matter is now before the courts. So what we're calling for is a transparent, open, and free trial, free and fair trial. And at the very least, if it's possible, even, the cameras are allowed, nation sees the trial, it's an open one, so that everybody sees this process and now convincingly see the evidence being tendered by the state against these accused persons. But one thing also we should emphasize here going forward is a judicial precedent. A precedent has been set. So we have to now know that there's no longer a bar or a cloak, or a veil for former presidents in our nation regarding criminal or civil proceedings down the line. That's the precedent that has been set. Whether it's good for us or it's bad for us, only history will tell. As for the ECOWAS intervention, yes, they're trying to find a pathway, a diplomatic pathway to, at the very least, cushion down the tensions. They understand the dynamics in our nation, they understand the rhetorics around our politics. That's why they are weighing in. But whether, in fact, that is going to be allowed, it's the government that has to decide at the end of the day because of sovereignty issues.
All right.
But all said and done, we are calling for a free, open, and transparent trial. And if possible, the cameras be allowed so that everybody at home can sit down and see the process and see the evidence be tendered against the state, so that it will not be declared as a witch hunt against anybody.
All right, thank you, Rashid. Alfonso, your final back.
My take on that, may the souls of all those that lost with us on that fatal day, rest in peace, and condolences to the families. I'm finding it very challenging to see when we are talking about even human rights defenders, the security sector, they are human rights defenders. People died defending the security of the state. And so even as government institution, they are also human rights defenders. So government should not see us human rights defenders as an abstract issue. But this is a situation that we are part and parcel of a system that needs to be protected. And having said that, we need to be careful as to how we classify the issue of the November 26th incident. And what I know is these are individuals. It is not APC. Absolutely. It is not other political party. Absolutely. So let us stop the issue of blanketing. If I steal, it is me, Alphonsus B. Ngbani. It is not the Gbani's family, but Alphonsus B. Ngbani. So this is not about APC. This is about individuals that decided to stage a coup against a sitting government. And so we condemn that outrightly, and we hope that the government will do this investigation and will do the trials openly, so that people, let it be a way of building the confidence, the trust and the confidence of the judiciary. And again, my last point is that if the government did something wrong or just try to undermine the integrity of the former president, we will say it is wrong. But as a sitting president, the constitution protects you. There is immunity from prosecution. That does not necessarily mean if after presidency you committed a crime, you should not be prosecuted for crimes or criminal crimes. So if there is any sufficient evidence against our former president, let the law take its course and let us know. Let the government make those evidence public so that people know that it is not witch hunt, it is not out of malice. That's my own.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. Iman, you seem to want to make a comment, but we're done now. We're done now. We're done now. You would always have this platform. This platform is always available to you, Iman. We know you're.
My friend there always now studying law.
You are Iman. We know.
He's my senior, but now he's my senior, so I won't
okay.
talk.
All right. I like the fact that you use for now. Interesting panel we've had today. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time and for being fair, open, and assertive in all the comments that you've made today. To Iman as well, thank you very much for being on this panel representing the government of Sierra Leone and letting people know what's happening. Hopefully 2024 will be a better year for all of us as far as being Sierra Leoneans is concerned. Well, this is where we end today's program. Thank you for honoring our invitation I mentioned already. And thank you for being part of this conversation. To our very many viewers across the globe, thank you very much for watching AYV on Sunday. This show returns next Sunday. But of course, a repeat of this program comes up on Thursday at 10 p.m. Be sure to catch a fresh edition again with a fresh set of issues next Sunday. Up next will be Primetime News. I'm John Conte. Many thanks for watching and listening.